Hello and welcome to BBC Radio 2 with me, Bradley Heinink. Got a great show lined up today with the lead singer of the Arctic Monkeys, Alex Turner, in the studio later to talk about the successful year himself and the guys have just had, whilst later we'll be speaking to the boys of Don Broco about their latest album. But first, I'm joined here by Ben Harper, speaking about his latest album, Welcome to the Cruel World. Hi Ben, thanks for coming on the show. Thanks for having me. No problem. So Ben, who exactly are the target audience for your album? That's a good question. When I was making the album, I was careful not to aim the songs or the themes at just one age group. I didn't want to feel so sort of tight within the genre that I couldn't breathe, and I wanted to be able to reach as many people as possible and try to relate to as many people as possible. So what I was very aware of when making the album was the general limits and boundaries that the indie acoustic genre generally has in terms of reaching wide audiences. For example, the main target audience for the genre seems to mainly be aimed at 16 to 25-year-olds, maybe up to 30-year-olds at some point, with a few exceptions either side of the age group. So within my album, there are a few themes that I wanted to make to appeal to the general wider audience, of themes of love, adventure, freedom, wonder, and it has a real light, sort of natural feel to the album as well as a whole. For example, I doubt the slightly elder audience would be that drawn to an abstract, fast, and thrill-seeking indie album, whereas they may be a bit more drawn to a slower, more intimately performed ballad sort of love song album for easy listening. I'm not speaking for every single person within the age group, just in general it seems to be the case, the general consensus. And even then, the whole album isn't purely slow and ballady, or fast and abstract. It just contains a couple of songs like that to add to its diversity and to its own appeal. So yeah, all in all, I think that the album appeals to a much wider age group than that of most music of the indie acoustic genre. Oh, fantastic, Ben. I agree, it is important not to get tunnel vision and focus solely on one audience. So during the process, what audience feedback did you get and how have you learnt from it? Yeah, I'm happy to say that throughout the process we received a lot of great and helpful feedback on how we could improve ourselves and what worked well in general. And even from the planning stages, we had a lot of ideas to work with and managed to produce a plan of what direction we wanted to go in. But still, it was early on and we were open-minded and open to change. So the group and myself, presented our ideas for the music video to one of the songs for the album called Forever. And we pitched the idea of having almost fully narrative video with the couples in the video visiting 4 locations and doing all these romantic things. The feedback we got was that it felt overcrowded and like we were trying to cram in too much, which in hindsight I completely agree with, and it just makes sense now looking back at it. So we amended this, and as soon as we could, cut it down to 2 locations with more shots of myself performing to add to the connection that I wanted to really exaggerate with the audience, which is what we ended up using in the final cut of the video. And I feel it worked well, and that the feedback that kickstarted that change was very much well needed. Another example would be later on in the filming process, when we weren't sure whether or not to have the woman of the oldest couple in the final shot, to assume that she's died, or to keep her in, as we weren't sure if the audience response would be more, oh that's depressing, or oh it shows that love lasts forever, and despite her death. So we asked some of our friends and family and colleagues, and the feedback was that we should keep her in to end the video on a high and just sort of to make it quite a nice sweet moment at the end of the video. We received feedback on other stages of the process, such as the filming process itself as well. And as well as that, also editing and post-production, which I'm very thankful for, and it really did help to mould the final product. And I feel myself and the group have learned a lot from the feedback and have nothing but gratitude for the constructive criticism. Oh, very well said. It's good that you've taken that advice on board, and I'm sure it's been a really humbling process. Yeah, absolutely. No, it's done nothing but help. Very thankful for it. Absolutely. Okay, well, thank you very much for coming on the show, Ben. Thank you. No problem. Right, that's all we have time for, unfortunately, today. But if you stay tuned, we have after the break Don Broco in to speak to us about their latest album. And coming up right now is a single off that album, You Wanna Know.